What's up YouTube? Today we'll continue with my series Investing in Greatness. Today's the number 30, you can check the other ones on my YouTube channel. There is actually a playlist for all of them. Today's player is Johan Cruyff, one of the best players ever, one of the GOATs in the vintage market, and this will be a special video because I'm talking also about a special player. If in the end end up enjoying this Investing in Greatness, please do not forget to leave a like, very important. Also, a lot of viewers are not even subscribers to the channel. I don't understand why. Consider to change that if you are in that position. A couple of things before we go into the video, I will go very fast. I also have a Patreon community that tends to be the best way to support the channel, but I try to put a lot of content there, so you pay $10, but I try to provide enough value to justify that. Link will be below the video if you want to join my Patreon community. Talking about another community, but this one is totally free, is my Discord server. I will also leave the link below the video. More than 800 members, crazy to even think about since we are a fairly new Discord community, but yeah, it's an amazing place to learn and share, amazing place to interact with other collectors, and link will be also below the video. I will also try to put a QR code on the screen if you want to scan and go that way to check both links. That being said, guys, hope you have fun and let's go into the video. So guys, let's continue with the series Investing in Greatness, number 30, crazy number, but if I have been doing so many videos for the Investing in Greatness series, the reason is quite simple. You guys have been supporting me all along the way, and because of that, thank you so much. If this channel is growing, if this series is going, you are the reason. And as long you keep supporting me, and I will repeat myself, leaving a like, subscribing, etc., I will be doing videos like this. For today's player, I have Johan Cruyff, one of the best players ever, and I think this will be an amazing one because most people may not even be aware of Johan Cruyff, especially people that are from America entering the card market, and there is nothing wrong with that, but this is a player that is very important to learn about, to have in consideration when we talk about the all-time greats in soccer. Let's start with a disclaimer. It will be a short one, but a very important one. No financial advice, I'll always do your own research, no one can predict the market, fundamentals are your best friend in the long run, any card I will show on this video or any video I can eventually be buying or selling, English is not my main language, any types of mispronunciations, I'm sorry. Let's start with Cruyff greatness, and looking at the screen is very easy to understand why Cruyff was such a special player. I mean, 3 times Ballon d'Or, 3 times Champions League, 9 times Dutch League, 1 time La Liga with Barcelona, and more. But I would say one thing, look, his career was amazing, but there is more to the Cruyff history. There is more to, when we talk about Cruyff, we need to understand one thing. Cruyff was one of the most influential players ever. For example, Guardiola nowadays talks about Cruyff like probably one of the biggest inspirations he ever had. And I think all of this make Cruyff so special. Because of all of this, Cruyff is GOAT level type of player. And I know the big four, you guys know the names at this point, Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Maradona and Pelé, are most likely the players that have the biggest collector base in vintage and pre-modern, but I think if you had to choose the 5th great, I think Cruyff will be an amazing option. Other people will say, maybe this Stefan, maybe this Zidane. I understand it's not clear, but I think Cruyff at least will be in consideration, and it's very difficult to find a top 10 all-time list without Cruyff. And if that's the case, I don't even think that list knows what they are talking about. That being said, this is just my opinion. At the end of the day, things are quite relative. But for me, Cruyff, and there is a consensus on this for people that have been following soccer for a long time, could be probably the most influential player of all time, at least in vintage. In the 70s, this man was super important, very relevant player for the soccer card market. In one word, genius. let's move on and let's start with what you guys are looking for, rookie material. And I believe the Cruyff market is actually a very interesting one. There is three, I would say, main rookies for Cruyff, and I will talk about other releases, but I think these are the three the market cares the most. And the first one is 68 Polydex Campeões Europeus de Futebol, my favorite, being honest. PSA total is 72, top grade is 9 with just one copy, and the top sale was 170k in a PSA 8. The next one is 67-68 Seeker Verlag, also a very popular card for Cruyff. PSA total is 65, the top grade is an 8 with 2 copies. The top sale was 33k in a PSA 8. The last one, probably the easiest one to find, is the Van der Hout 68 to 70, and I will talk about that in a minute. Johan Cruyff. PSA total is 108 and top grade is 9 with 3 copies. The top sale was a PSA 9 for 28k. All of these cards, if you follow the Cruyff market, if you follow the vintage market, very likely scenario, you know all of them. There will be a eBay affiliate link below the video if you want to support the channel. Now let's talk a bit about Polydex, because this is probably the, as you can see by the numbers, was the top sale ever for Cruyff in terms of rookie material, and is probably the most popular card for Cruyff. Polydex 68, released in Portugal, some people may not even be aware. This is part of an amazing album slash set, many legends in this set. I can name a few, for example, Eusébio, Coluna, Bobby Charlton, George Best, etc. A lot of legendary players. In my view, this set is from 68 or 68/69. It depends if PSA wants to go by year or go by season. So why I like this set a lot? Well, first of all, if you look at the card, and I understand eye appealing is a very relative thing, but I really believe this is one of the most beautiful cards in the entire soccer card market. The green on the background gives a nice touch to the card, plus I think Cruyff in the Ajax kit is very, very special and looks beautiful. This is my perspective, but of course I don't want to justify buy cards because of eye appealing. I think eye appealing is very important, but probably the least important looking at my fundamentals. I actually believe in terms of rarity, let's say true rarity, even though this card does not have true rarity, and we can go back to the pulp report. I believe this will be the most difficult rookie to find in the long run. I understand the Verlag right now is a little bit lower in the pulp report looking at PSA, but long run, and this is my speculation, of course do your own research, but I also talk with other collectors that share this feeling with me, this will be more difficult to find. This being higher pop, do not surprise me in the sense these cards end up exploding. At one point the PSA 1.5 was selling for 10k, so of course everyone started looking for them, started grading them. The Verlag also ended up selling for a lot in the past, but not comparable with the Polydex Campeões Europeus de Futebol. Because of all of this, I think this is probably the most important card for Johan Cruyff in terms of rookie material. Sometimes I see people question, why is this card not 67-68? Could that be actually the true rookie for Johan Cruyff? I don't think that's the case. Look, if you look at the back, you can see that they say 67/68. But if you know Portuguese, and I assume you don't know Portuguese, this says the Holland champion in 67/68. So the season was already done. We do not know the release date, but for sure this was after 67/68 season. The set actually celebrates that European champions of the season. A good example is the United team, that the photo already shows the team with the Champions League they won in 68, but there is multiple examples of this in the album. So for me, I actually think putting 68/69 is correct. 67, I don't see why someone will put that, apart from not understanding Portuguese or doing a bad research. Moving on, and let's talk a bit about Polydex. Like I said, I believe actually this is the most important rookie for Cruyff. This is actually a very special album. The photo of the album is this one, beautiful. I own one, and this is one of my favorite items in my collection. Polydex history. For people that may not know, Polydex was actually a very important brand in Portugal, and they actually end up releasing a lot of albums, not only related with soccer, related with other sports, related with even games, even cartoons, etc. And they also did a lot of comic books. As you can see, this is Iron Man released in Portugal, and I bet even if you own a Polydex Campeões Europeus Football, you may not even be aware of this. I thought it was a fun thing to share with you. A couple of things also that I want to mention about Polydex is I don't expect you guys to actually understand what's going on with this print screen that I'm putting on the video, but this is actually the introduction page of the album. And basically, and I will try to be very short in words, what they said is they actually, this was a very unique album at the time, especially for Portugal. They end up going to all the countries and try to take photos with the players. And the fun fact that I also love to mention right now is they actually talk about rights, trying to negotiate with clubs the photos, the rights of the players. So I'm not sure if I can say this set is a licensed set, but at least was one set that in vintage ended up going in the right direction because of all the work they end up putting. Another thing that I think is quite important is if you look at the page also, they also mention Brazil and they mention distribution in Brazil. Do I think this card was released in Brazil? Look, I have no evidence of that apart from what is actually on the album, but I would not be surprised, even though if that was the case, the release was most likely quite small. For now, I put release in Portugal. There is a scenario, also very small release in Brazil, even though I don't have confirmation of this, since I never saw any evidence of that, apart from actually Polydex telling me that on the album. Let's move on. And now let's talk about another interesting seeker for Johan Cruyff, Bundesliga AC Seeker Verlag 68. As you can see, this is the album for the set, this is the card, and now you are seeing, wait, but there is actually two cards. There is a panel and there is Cruyff with basically just himself. This is where I think some people may not understand what's going on. Let's start talking about the album. This album was released in Germany. I think it's also an amazing album / set. I still prefer the Polydex, but many legends similar to Polydex are in this set. Eusébio, Pelé, Yashin. In my view, this is actually 68 or 67/68. So if you love the concept of true rookie, that in vintage, I guess, is very relevant since people look more in the rookie material type of way. But this can actually be the true rookie for Johan Cruyff. And by the way, I also, even if I keep saying I prefer the Polydex, I also love the Verlag sticker. So because of that, I will repeat myself, this could be the true rookie. And now you will ask me why I think this is the true rookie, but you have to wait. Because first of all, I need to explain why you can find this card with just Cruyff or with a panel. But the difference between this copy and this copy is actually quite simple. But I also think, again, most people, or at least a lot of people, do not know this. So the back for this card, you can see that the Bundesliga AC goes all the way. When you look at this one, and by the way, this is not the back of this one, but is a back of also a panel, but this panel on the back is quite different. Why? Because Bundesliga AC 68 is actually split between two players. You can actually cut this one. I never saw one at PSA cut, being honest, but at least on SGC works that way. For this one, you cannot cut. Why? Because this was not made for that. The difference in terms of release for both, I honestly do not know. I tried my best to find information on that, but I think putting this out there is also important. If anyone have information, and these type of videos are, again, they are great, but they are even better if you guys also share information on the comments, because if someone is collecting Cruyff or starting to collecting Cruyff, they also probably will look at the comments and potentially finding even more information than the one I shared. So keep that in mind. If you know something, just put on the comments and that will be amazing. Moving on, and now let's talk about why 67/68. Well, is actually quite simple. So this is actually the pack for this was the packs for the album, and there is a couple of things already on the packs that give us a good idea. This will be 67/68. But if you translate, and this is already translated, the first page of the album goes this way. Same logic with the pack, by the way. The Football Bundesliga 68/67 is now the second half time. What this means is, this is not correctly translated most likely, but this is the second part of the season in Bundesliga, and the fight the fight at the top of the table as well against relegation promise in second round still getting very interesting. In regular squads of the 18 teams after the experience of the previous round, some changes have taken place. Blah 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 blah. So my English is probably as good as this translation, and that's saying a lot. So this is 67/68 season, but was released most likely in 68. That being said, PSA, BGS, SJC like to go by season, and if that's the case, this is actually the earliest release we know, at least looking at the season, is 67/68. Like I said, beautiful cards. Moving on. And now let's talk about Van der Out. Van der Out is probably one of the most complex ones, because nowadays grading companies are putting 68/70, and this tends to be not that normal. Why? Normally we see 68, 69, 69, 70, so by season, but we know that there is no 2 seasons. there is no season with 2 years, at least that I'm aware. The reality is this card is quite complex, and I will explain you why. So the album for 68/69 and the album for 69/70 is basically very similar. But even worse is the sticker, the card, whatever you want to call it, for Johan Cruyff. They have the same number, have the same front, have the same back. So there is no way to tell the difference between the 68 and the 69/70. That's the reason PSA and SEC right now are putting 68/70, and I actually tend to agree with that. I think this is actually a good way to label the sticker. What I think about this sticker, I think it's an amazing one. This was released in Holland, is the first sticker for Cruyff country, and for me this is actually very important. A bad thing, and again, this is actually a big deal for me, but the bad thing about this sticker is the fact that it got released in 2 separated seasons, and there is no way to tell the difference. That's the bad part. Apart from that, in terms of rarity, this is one of the easiest ones to find, and I guess the logic that was released in 2 different seasons also makes the sticker much more easy to find. So a lot of things to like about this sticker, a lot of things I would say to not like this sticker as much as the others. I love the fact this was released in Netherlands, because it was Cruyff home country. So beautiful sticker. Maybe is a nice option for you if you are collecting in the budget, since the Polydex and the Verlag, even though the Verlag right now is also quite cheap, but they tend to be a bit more expensive than the Van der Out. Other hooky material for Johan Cruyff. So this is probably the earliest release I know in terms of cardboard, is the 66 Vita Nova Trilco. This is a postal card. Again, not for me, being honest with you, but some people love to collect this type of stuff, and I think in general these are actually quite fun to collect if you enjoy this type of stuff, and if you are a big Cruyff collector, this is probably something you want to have in your collection. And you can see there is more stuff, especially oversized type of cards for Cruyff. There is more that I end up not putting on the screen, but do your own research on this front. Like I said, the first 3 cards I end up showing to you are the ones that the market tend to look, I would say, in a more normal way. If you love cards, sports cards, that's probably more in your lane than the ones I'm sharing right now. There is also this, I call this a pin. I'm not sure if this is even the correct word. This seems like 65, but there is not a lot of information for this out there. Grading companies are also not grading this as far as I'm aware, but things change over time. So this is also rookie material for Cruyff. I don't collect the cards, you guys, cards / pins / postal cards, whatever that you are seeing on the screen, but I thought was important to mention. Before I go into the other relevant cards for Cruyff, let me say one thing. If you like my content on YouTube, you probably also like my content on Patreon. If you join my Patreon, you support my channel. Apart from that, you get a lot of content there. There is a new Q&A every Wednesday on the Patreon, so if you have questions, that will be the best place to ask them. More than 70 exclusive videos and 70 exclusive audio, so you have content for weeks to watch. Link will be below the video if you want to join my Patreon. The second part of this is also my Discord server. For the Patreon, you need to pay around $10. If that's a lot of money to you, don't feel any pressure. My Discord is totally free. We are more than 800 members, and this is an amazing place to learn and share. I'm there a lot of times. There is also big collectors there. If you have doubts, if you want to learn, or like I said, if you want to share, feel free to join my Discord. Amazing community. Other relevant cards. So in this case, I end up talking about rookies, but I think in vintage rookies, not only in vintage, but you need to look also at other cards that are relevant for the players. And I'm choosing 4. I guess you can make argument there is much more than 4, but this is the ones I actually like quite a lot, so I'm sharing them with you. So the first is the card with Ajax that in terms of design, I think a lot of people love this card. It tends actually to get a huge premium for a card that is from 71, so for most people, not rookie years, but is the first card with Ajax as far as I'm aware, and is more almost an American card if you want to go with that logic. So Pop Total is 29. Is a beautiful card, and I actually love the design. The next one is the first Panini sticker for Johan Cruyff. I find this sticker also a very interesting one, since Panini is such an important brand for us. Pop Total is 12, and from my experience is not that difficult to find, but also not that easy. Then you also have the first season at Barcelona, end up winning much more with Ajax, to be honest, but Barcelona was also a home to Cruyff. Cruyff ended up later becoming a coach for Barcelona, so there is a lot of history there. Pop Total is 13, and again, not super difficult to find, but a very important card for Cruyff in my perspective. The last one will be 74 Panini World Cup. This is the first sticker for Cruyff at World Cup level, and we know how important Panini World Cup stickers are. Pop Total is 31, and I would say this is probably one of the most important cards for Cruyff. Looking at and talking with other collectors, they tend also to agree that this one and the card are very, very important. I like all 4 that I'm sharing with you. Moving on, and collecting Cruyff in the budget is actually quite easy, my friends, because Cruyff is not an expensive player, to be honest with you guys, especially if you compare with Maradona, Pelé, because I also put Cruyff up there. I still prefer Maradona, I still prefer Pelé if I had to choose them. But I think this man should be close, like I said. So all the cards you are seeing on the screen are nice options, and you can debate if they are relevant or not, but you have a lot of stuff to choose if you want to collect Johan Cruyff. So is everything for today, guys. Thank you for watching. I end up not putting the market for Cruyff because, again, you guys already know at this point the market right now is facing a correction, so sharing prices I don't feel comfortable. That being said, Cruyff is a very important player for our market, and you should take a look if you love vintage and if you love to collect greatness. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.